This Pokemon Presents was quite interesting. We learned about new Pokemon, of course, but we also got a sneak peek into the replacement for Dynamaxing and Gigantamaxing, and we got a look into the scope of these games. Let's take a closer look. First off, let's talk about Fidough. Perhaps a hint uninspired, as it's more or less taking a page from Alcremie's book, that is to say, turning a baking good into a Pokemon and slapping the fairy type on it. I nonetheless greatly enjoy the wordplay present in Fidough's name. Next is Cetitan, who I quite enjoy. It appears to be the ace of the Ice-type gym leader Grusha, and it has Thick Fat as one of its abilities, meaning it can effectively remove its fire weakness. Very handy to have. The last one revealed was Paldean Wooper, confirming that regional variants will be making a return in Scarlet and Violet. Paldean Wooper is Poison Ground, a type combination not seen since Nidoqueen and Nidoking in Gen 1. Interestingly, Paldean Wooper retains its Water Absorb ability, meaning it can restore HP from one of its weaknesses. In addition to those new Pokemon, another thing we learned in the trailer was that Game Freak is really embracing the open world concept, in that you can tackle the 8 gyms present in the game in any order you wish. This reminds me of Generation 1, where after you beat Misty and get the Cut HM, you can tackle gyms 3 through 7 in almost any order you wish. Whether or not this was intentional, I'm not sure, but it did give those games a much more unrestricted, free-roaming aspect to them. Of course, in Gen 1, the strength of the gym leaders didn't scale with your party or number of badges or anything, thus kind of gently steering you in a certain order. There wasn't any mention of level scaling for Scarlet and Violet in the Pokemon Presents today, but I assume that's going to be a thing since you can tackle the gyms in any order in those games. Regardless, this whole callback to Gen 1, whether intentional or not, reminds me of Breath of the Wild. In Breath of the Wild, you're thrown into a big open world with little in the way of story or fanfare, much like the original NES Zelda. In Scarlet and Violet, the gyms are going to be completable in any order, like a significant chunk of the original Pokemon titles. In addition, Scarlet and Violet are open world games, like Breath of the Wild. Whether these connections were intentional or not is unclear, but either way, I'm looking forward to the freedom this offers, tackling the gyms in whatever order I want. And, of course, perhaps one of the more noteworthy aspects of the trailer was the reveal of the Terastal Phenomenon, which appears to be the replacement for Dynamaxing and Gigantamaxing that was present in Sword and Shield. The Pokemon Presents states that
all Pokemon in the Paldea region are able to Terastallize, which can provide a boost to a Pokemon's type and make its moves stronger.
However, the type associated with Terastallizing, or a Pokemon's Tera Type, is not necessarily the same as the type or types of the Pokemon. For example, the Pokemon Presents showed off Eevee with a normal Tera Type, but also ones with Grass and Water Tera Types, and the official site for Scarlet and Violet also mentions a hypothetical Flying Tera Type Eevee. And no, Pokemon fanbase, this does not mean Eevee is getting a Flying type evolution in Scarlet and Violet. If we continue looking at the official site for Scarlet and Violet, we can see some more interesting tidbits about Terastallizing. For example, this paragraph here reads, Terastallizing a Pokemon allows you to enhance your battle strategies by increasing the power of any moves that have the same type as your Pokemon's Tera Type, or by changing your Pokemon's weaknesses. This suggests that the Tera Type of your Pokemon will become part of your Pokemon's type as well, but what remains unclear is whether it will be added on or replace a type. Going back to the Pokemon Presents, they display a Drifblim with a Tera Type of Fire. However, Drifblim already has 2 types, Ghost and Flying. So does Drifblim become Ghost, Flying, Fire? Or does one of its existing types get replaced with Fire? Some other aspects of Terastallizing. It lasts until the end of the battle, and if a Pokemon uses a move that matches its Tera Type and one of its original types, it receives an even greater boost in power. This means that having a Sprigatito with a Grass Tera Type, for example, isn't completely redundant, as you trade additional resistances and weaknesses for extra damage. This new mechanic seems interesting, but like many things, execution is important. Will it be balanced well, or will it be like Dynamaxing? Only time will tell, as at the time of recording this, which is right after the Pokemon Presents, we have no idea how powerful these boosts are, or whether a Pokemon's Tera Type gets added on to its typing or replaces a type. That is to say, are we getting 3-typed Pokemon? Also, can any Pokemon have any Tera Type, or are the Tera Types available to a species limited? There may also be other aspects of Terastallizing that weren't shown off today, so this is something I'll be keeping my eye on for sure. If we do have 3 typed Pokemon, this actually won't be the first time for the series. Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist learn Trick or Treat, which adds the Ghost type to the target, potentially resulting in the Pokemon with 3 types. In addition, Phantump and Trevenant learn Forest's Curse, which adds the Grass type instead. Another thing that I noticed was that we have a clear look at what is likely the Paldea region's map now. We had a brief look at it in the reveal trailer, but now we can see it in its entirety. At the top right is a kind of charcoal color that isn't surrounded by water. It makes me wonder if any DLC areas will be connected to that part. Another thing that was shown off was Tera Raid Battles, which seemed to be replacing the Max Raid Battles that were present in Sword and Shield. One aspect of these raid battles is that you seem to be able to find Pokemon that have a Tera type that isn't one of its current types. One example that's present on the site is what appears to be a Water Tera type Gardevoir. These raid battles also differ from Sword and Shield more by being action-based instead of turn-based. You don't have to wait for your turn to come up to use a move. You can also do cheers instead of a move, which do things like raise your stats or heal your Pokemon, but you can only do 3 cheers per raid battle, it would seem. That's about all I have to say about today's Pokemon Presents. Leave a comment below letting me know what you liked most about today's Pokemon Presents. Also, please be sure to subscribe and like the video if you haven't done so already. Before we go, I want to give a big shout out to Lord McAfee and Mithril Monarch for being super duper awesome supporters over on my Patreon. Those two, along with my other patrons on screen here, are all fantastic people, and I thank them so much for their support. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.